Hi Class 2-3, your Sunday school teachers have decided to make some videos which include prayer, lesson, and crafts. Let's get started.
Dragi copii, așa cum făceam de fiecare dată la clasă când ne întâlneam, orice lucrare am început-o cu rugăciune. Aș dori și această lucrare care o facem, chiar dacă este online, să o începem cu rugăciune. Și acolo unde sunteți fiecare, haideți să înălțăm Domnului o rugăciune și să mulțumim pentru harul pe care îl avem, să putem să ne unim împreună, să învățăm cuvântul lui Dumnezeu, să facem activități împreună și chiar să ne rugăm unii pentru alții. Doresc ca Domnul să vă binecuvinteze și în următoarele momente, haideți toată familia să ne unim și să ne rugăm Domnului Isus. Amin.
Why don't bats bump into things when they fly? Why must babies cry? Why? Why? We have lots of why questions, haven't we? I'm sure little Esther often asked why also. Perhaps her why sounded like this. Why are we different from the people of Shuhan? Her cousin Mordecai was there to answer. We are Jews, God's chosen people. We worship and obey God, for He is the only true God. Esther had more questions. Why aren't the people of Shuhan Jews? Long, long ago, replied Mordecai, God gave his people their own land, but they disobeyed him and turned to worship false gods. The Lord God used kings and armies to come into their lands as punishment. Their armies captured many Jews and took them back to their own country. That is why we live in Persia. Our great-grandparents were among those captured. Why don't I live with my mother and father? Esther may have asked. They died, Esther, Mordecai replied sadly. But I will look after you well. And he did, right through Esther's teenage years. There are many sad things in Esther's life, but the wonderful thing is that God had a plan for her life. She was a Jewish orphan, and perhaps many people didn't think she was special, but she was special to God. He really had good plans for Esther's life. It is true for every child of God. If you are a child of God, He has special plans for you. There was a new king in Persia. Foolish King Xerxes wanted to impress all the princes and nobles of his mighty empire, so he invited them to a fabulous feast, at least 6 months. The guests were served with the finest food on gold plates and drank the finest wine. He drank rather too much himself, and he decided to send for his beautiful wife, Queen Vashti, to show her off. Queen Vashti didn't want to be pampered, and she refused to come down. The king was furious, and his advisors suggest he should make an example of her. You should stop her from being queen, they told him. Otherwise, all the women will think it's fine to disobey their husbands. The king agreed and had a proclamation sent out that every husband be the master of this home. King Xerxes needed a new queen, and so servants were sent out to find a beautiful young maiden of the land and bring them to the palace. Amongst them was a lovely young girl named Esther. And as soon as King Xerxes saw her, he declared that she would be his wife. Esther did not tell him she was a Jew. When Esther became the queen of Persia, her cousin Mordecai was given an administrative position in the king's court, and one day he chanced overhearing a conversation between 2 of the king's guards who were plotting to kill the king. Mordecai told Esther to warn Xerxes, and the king ordered an investigation, and the treacherous guards were hung. What had happened to Mordecai's part in it was written down in the official guards, but the king forgot to reward the man who saved his life. The king's prime minister, Haman, thought very well of himself. He loved to ride through the streets and see the people bow before him. It made him feel powerful. and it truly annoyed him that Mordecai would never bow before him. When Haman found out that Mordecai was a Jew, he decided to punish not only him, but all the Jews as well. Haman was cunning. "Your Majesty," he said, "there is a race of people in your empire that does not obey your laws. I would advise you to declare a decree to put them to death." The king agreed. And so Haman sent out a decree stamped with the royal ring, stating that on the 13th day of the 12th month of that year, all Jews, young and old, women and children, were to be killed throughout the empire. Never before had the Jewish people faced such inhibition. When Mordecai learned of the decree, he tore his clothes and put on a sackcloth and ashes. He sent a message to his cousin, begging that Esther plead their case before the king. Esther was terrified. To go before the king without permission was punishable by death. Not only if the king held out his spear would the person be spared, but Mordecai sent a message saying, "You must help the Jews or God will be angry." Maybe he made you queen purposely so that the people can be saved. Esther was scared, but made up her mind to go to the king. When he saw her, he smiled and held out his golden sphere, saying, "Tell me what you want, and you shall have it, even if it's half of my empire." Esther could not bring herself to ask the king there and then. Instead, she invited him and Haman to a banquet in their rooms. Haman was feeling pleased until he passed in front of Mordecai, and the Jew still refused to bow. Then his friends saw how furious he was. They suggested that he build a gallows, then asked the king the next morning to have Mordecai hung. That night, the king couldn't sleep, so he sent for official records of the king. Maybe that would help. As he was reading, he came across the account of how Mordecai had saved his life, and his officials confessed that he had never been rewarded. So Haman arrived early at the palace that morning, and King Xerxes asked him, "There is someone I wish to honor. What should I do for him?" Thinking the king was talking about him, Haman replied, "Have the man dressed in one of your royal robes and lead through the city on one of their horses, with an official proclaiming, 'This is how king treats those who wish to honor.'" He got a dreadful shock when the king told him to send for Mordecai, and he realized that his hated enemy would be the one honored in the very way that he suggested. Haman was still seething when he arrived for the queen's banquet, but things were not only getting worse. During the banquet, the king asked Esther what it was that she wanted. This time the queen was brave enough to ask, "Your Majesty, if I have found favor in your sight, I beg you to save my life and that of my people. For we have been sold for slaughter." "Who has declared such a thing?" roared the king, and Esther pointed to Haman. The king was so furious that he left the room to calm down. Haman's face was as white as a sheet, flung himself at Esther's feet and begged her to protect him. When the king returned to find Haman with his hands on the queen's robes, it only made him angrier. Then Haman's fate was sealed, as one of the guards said, "Your Majesty, This man built a gallows for Mordecai. He wanted to hang the man who saved your life. Hang Haman on it himself, ordered Xerxes. And so it was Haman was hung on the gallows that he had built for Mordecai. Haman was dead, but the danger was not over. The decree stamped with the royal seal could not be changed. The Jews were still sentenced to death. Once again, brave Esther begged the king for help. The king thought carefully and then got Mordecai to send another proclamation across the empire. This time, it stated that all the Jews might arm themselves, and if they were attacked, they might fight back and destroy the attackers and take all their possessions. So it was that when the followers of Haman tried to massacre the Jewish people, the Jews fought back and destroyed them. Haman's 10 sons were hung and throughout the land and in every province. The enemies of the Jewish were destroyed. The Jewish people were saved. And ever since, the Jews have celebrated the holy festival of Purim each year, and in gratitude for God's deliverance of them through Esther and Mordecai.
So for this craft, we'll be making a crown. You will need scissors, construction paper that will be cut into this size, any kind of stickers, and hot glue. So you will most likely need a parent to help you out for this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the construction paper and fold it into a square. So we want a square out of this, to make a square out of this construction paper. So you'll fold it like that. Then you will take it and fold this side down. Then you're going to cut this along here. Then you'll take this square again and fold it in half. Then you're going to fold it the other way again. Make sure it's corner to corner, nice and straight. Then you're going to take your paper and cut it in half again, right down the middle. And then you're going to have 2 rectangles like so. Then you're going to fold it one more time into a square. And then you're going to cut them one last time. And the other side. So out of 1 construction paper, you will have 4 squares. Then what you will do, you will take 1 square and you will fold it along the crease in the middle. So the final product, and you'll do the same thing to the other side, and it will look like a kite. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take this bottom corner and fold it upward. Then you're going to take it one more time and fold it over so it looks like a triangle, and you're going to take it one more time and fold it again so it looks like a boat. And you're going to do the same thing with all of your other papers. So once you have all your other papers looking like this, like boats, you're gonna take a hot glue stick and just put a little dab along the inside flap and fold it in and do the same thing to the other ones. Now you're going to take them and you're going to put some hot glue on the inside. And you're going to take the other triangles or boats and you're just going to put them on the inside like so. And it's going to look like this. And you're going to continue doing it. And you're going to continue adding more and more and more. So I'm just going to add these ones together. Like so. Once you have them all together, you can go on the inside as well and add some more hot glue, just so it stays down. So once it looks like this, now you can go ahead and decorate. So I have these little stickers. You can get any kind of stickers, it doesn't matter. And you're just gonna place them on alongside the bottom. You can also use marker and make little dots or make little flowers, whatever you have at home. And I'm also going to add some gems, some of these little stickers right on top, right at the tip of the crown. If you like, you can also draw on the crown. When you are done, you're going to take hot glue and you're going to put it on the inside one more time and you're going to fold it inward like so. And there's your crown.
Dragi copii, vrem să mulțumim Domnului că și astăzi am avut oportunitatea să fim împreună, să învățăm Cuvântul lui Dumnezeu, să facem craft, dar și să ne rugăm. Avem atâtea motive de rugăciune, atâtea nevoi care sunt. Și am dorit să aducem înaintea Domnului pe Noah Hozan, care este colegul nostru și fratele nostru. A lipsit anul acesta școlar din clasa noastră din cauza suferințelor, dar noi vrem să ne rugăm în continuare pentru el, ca Domnul Dumnezeu să se atingă de el, să-i dea vindecare, să-i dea tămăduire și chiar ne-am bucurat foarte mult și ne dorim să fie împreună cu noi. Dumnezeu ne ascultă rugăciunile, am văzut de atâtea ori când ne-am rugat pentru diferite cauze, că și Dumnezeu ne-a ascultat. Aș dori în această rugăciune să ne rugăm și să mulțumim Domnului pentru ziua de astăzi, pentru tot ce am învățat, să mulțumim pentru părinți, să ne rugăm pentru părinți, să ne rugăm pentru frați, pentru surori, pentru bunici, pentru biserica noastră și să nu uitați, în rugăciunea voastră, în fiecare zi, să vă rugați și pentru Noah. Haideți împreună cu toții să ne rugăm aceste cauze și să mergem cu credință înaintea Domnului, știind că El ne ascultă pe noi copilașii. Domnul Dumnezeu să vă binecuvinteze!